Hey guys, it's Brie. Welcome to Nobody Asked, a series I've been thinking about doing for a very long time, and now at almost 32 years old, time to start. Better late than never. It's June when I'm releasing this video, so happy Pride! I got my flag up here. It's looking a little sad right now, but I will be going to Pride this year. I'm so excited. Oh, it's been years since I've been to Pride. COVID sucks, y'all. For real though, this has been something I've wanted to do for, as I said, a very long time, and I hope I do well in translating my opinions and paying respects to films that have meant just so much to me and have fun doing it. So yeah, I'm just really excited to start. And I'm gonna start on a big one. The Alien franchise. The Alien franchise has had a place in my heart since I first saw Aliens as a child, and I think I'm one of many fans who saw Aliens first and then Alien later in life. I love Alien and Aliens equally for different reasons. Alien is the classic slasher in space film, while Aliens is more action-orientated. They introduce the Xenomorph, which is one of my favorite creatures of all time. It's beautiful and yet terrifying. And of course, we get Ripley. Ellen Ripley is one of the most beloved female protagonists in cinema's history. You of course saw the title of this video and are probably wondering, as an Alien fan, what do I think of Alien 3? And my honest answer is, I neither like nor dislike it. I think I first saw Alien 3 when I was about 12, maybe 13, and my brother advised against it, stating a very clear spoiler, just everyone dies. And so I kind of hated the film before even watching it, just because I felt all of this emotional investment I had in these characters and in this franchise so far was just wasted because they were just gonna kill off all my favorite people. And after my first viewing, I was indeed upset that they killed everyone. Everyone? Everyone. I hated that they did an autopsy on Newt. I hated that this was set in a prison. I hated that Ripley couldn't just get a fucking happy ending. And I hated that there was only one Xenomorph. Like, what? Like, we've done this before. The one alien with little to no way to defend yourself. It's been done before. Like, why didn't they expand on the story a bit? Why didn't it take place on Earth like the initial trailers indicated it would? But as I got older, I watched the movie a few more times. I also watched the making of, realized the production nightmare that was. I also watched the assembly cut, and I compared it to the theatrical cut. And as I said, I neither like nor dislike the sequel. But I have come to see this third installment as like the third piece to this analysis that I created. So basically, I see Aliens, and Alien 3 as theatrical metaphors for birth, life, and death. And I know that that's like a very simple, yet very big statement to make about these films. They have so much going on in each and every film. These films are credited to 3 very different directors, different writers, different production companies, and yet they all have these themes that somehow connect together. Please bear in mind that, as I said, this is my opinion, this is my analysis, and you're allowed to think whatever you want about the films. I'm always open to like sharing opinions and discussion, and I want to talk about these films. I love films, like I want to talk about them, so I want to hear your opinion as well. Alien was released in 1979, directed by Ridley Scott, and stars Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, Veronica Cartwright, John Hurt, Ian Holm, Harry Dean Stanton, and Yaphet Kotto as the crew of the Nostromo, a refinery vessel owned by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. The opening scene of Alien, we see the Nostromo floating through this darkness. Light floods the hallways and compartments of the Nostromo as Mother, the ship's computer, awakens the crew. Cain is the first to rise. The character of Cain is of course a reference to the biblical Cain, the eldest son of Adam and Eve, who were the first people to exist according to the Bible. This would make Cain the first human ever to be traditionally born. I'm not saying that was Ridley Scott's intent with this character reference. I think the biblical link is more a reference to Cain also being the first murderer. He is the human embodiment of greed and violence. So only something so evil could produce something also so evil as a xenomorph. One of the most popular positive comments I hear about the Alien film is the fact that the Nostromo feels lived in. And the attitude of the crew is a key part in that atmosphere. So the crew is essentially a family unit. You have Mother, the ship's computer, making sure they all stay alive, at least until they encounter the xenomorph. Dallas, the ship's captain, who works directly with Mother, and all the other members of the crew working together for a common goal. They laugh with each other, they cry with each other, they argue and fight with each other, but at the end of the day, they just want to save each other. Apart from Ash. He's a sexist, rude, and dangerous android who was sent by the f***ing company. The crew wake up in an unfamiliar part of space and determine that they were prematurely awakened from hypersleep to inspect a transmission of unknown origin or purpose. Mother and Dallas instruct the crew to investigate. Parker and Brent don't want to investigate unless they get paid extra, and like disobedient children, they are informed they won't get anything unless they do what they are told. They leave the safety of Mother and go into the unknown, and they inevitably get hurt and sick. They bring back a parasite with them that eventually consumes them all. And to me, this is just a statement of parents can't always protect their children from pain and sickness. So, of course, Alien has one of the most famous births in cinema history. It's a nightmare scenario of a birth, in the sense that a xenomorph requires forced impregnation of a host in order to be born. The birth itself is extremely painful, gory, and ultimately fatal. This is an expression of a very real fear that a lot of people have about birth. Both women and men, they fear extreme pain, they fear for the safety of themselves or their significant other, and talk about demons born, Jesus. Cain's son is literally, the child from hell. So one by one, the Nostromo crew is picked off, and we, the audience, witness the birth of this great protagonist, Ripley. She eventually becomes the main character in this film and in this franchise by use of her strength, her bravery, her intelligence, and for a young girl like myself, to see a woman doing what she has to do and not being a ditzy, sissy girl about it is one of the many reasons I love this franchise. So Alien is about birth, with some infancy and some childhood thrown in. So now we move on to Aliens, which in my opinion is about life. Aliens was released in 1986, directed by James Cameron, and once again stars Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, as well as Michael Biehn, Bill Paxton, Lance Henriksen, Jeanette Goldstein, and Carrie Hearn. So the opening credits, we have this same slow introduction as we did in Alien, but this time the eye opens up, revealing a wave of bright light, similar to what an infant would see when being born. So now, we are born. So first, we witness Ripley being rescued after floating in deep space for 57 Earth years. Although we do not witness her awakening and most of her physical recovery, we can clearly see that Ripley is suffering. She obviously has PTSD. She's being blamed for the destruction of the Nostromo by the corporation. And worst of all, Ripley has lost something that I doubt many humans have ever experienced. She has lost her place in the timeline of human history. It's not like she was born, she lived, and then she died, and then everyone forgot about her. She literally has missed her place in her own life. She's practically in the future, her future. Her loved ones have all passed away, including her daughter, and more likely than not, all of her property and possessions are long gone. The only thing that really connects Ripley to her own time is Jones, her cat. So Ripley has quite literally lost her life. So Burke, who we all know as a punk-ass company man, he does have one redeeming line in this film, and that's where he tells Ripley that she needs to get back on the horse. This is in reference to her going back to LV-426 to investigate why they've lost contact with the colonists there. And I absolutely agree that this is what Ripley needed to do. As a sentient and conscious adult, Ripley is ultimately responsible for getting herself a new life. And the first steps in that for her would be to take some control back, because she has completely lost control, especially of her own fears. We see Ripley slowly gain little pieces of a new life throughout this film, and that starts with her waking up on the Sulaco, the Marine ship. We see that she is reborn, as it were, into this new timeline with a very clear purpose. And her purpose right now is to make sure that the xenomorphs are dead. Upon landing on LV-426 with the Marines and having her Nostromo story confirmed, we are introduced to Newt. Newt has also almost lost everything to the xenomorphs, and she connects with Ripley through this shared trauma. They have the utmost respect for what the other person has been through, and they become stronger through sharing this eventual recovery with each other. Of course, we can clearly see the roles that they fill for each other. Newt gives Ripley a second chance of motherhood, while Ripley gives Newt the security of a parent who is not going to abandon her no matter what's going on, no matter how bleak it is. And so Ripley gains a little peace. There is an obvious attraction between Hicks and Ripley from their very first interactions. We can see Hicks not only believes Ripley's Nostromo story, but just believes in Ripley and her capabilities. Hicks is like Ripley in his bravery and his strength and his will to get everyone else out alive. And like the audience, Hicks is very aware of the relationship developing between Ripley and Newt. And when it came time to save Newt in the face of certain death, Hicks was on it. Even if Hicks and Ripley were not meant to end up as a couple, necessarily, they were supposed to be friends, absolutely. And so we see Ripley gain another piece. As stated before, Ripley needed to face her fears, and she literally does. She comes face to face with the mother of her fears, the Xenomorph Queen. This scene just has like so much going on, and there's no dialogue. We have two mothers facing off, both making it very clear to the other that they are willing to protect their children by any means necessary. Ripley is at first glad to leave without violence, but as an egg opens, seemingly by the will of the Queen, Ripley decides she's fucking had it. She fires everything she's got into this nest. She's unleashing all of her pain and her anger and her loss onto this whole fucking nest. This is an extremely cathartic moment for everyone, not just Ripley and not just Newt, but for the audience as well, because we've been watching her suffer this whole time because of this species. But of course, Ripley uses her brain and her brawn and overcomes the Queen, kills her, and now we see Ripley gaining this huge piece of her new life, the security that the Xenomorphs are dead. So they head back to Earth, and we as the audience know that Ripley is going to have a lot of crap to deal with when she gets home, especially from the company. But now she has people around her who support her, understand her, believe her, and are going to be there for her. And so Ripley has gained a new life. God, if any of y'all want to pour a shot for this next one, I mean, I would join you, but it's pretty early in the day. Alien 3 was released in 1992, is for the most part directed by David Fincher, and stars Sigourney Weaver and Lance Henriksen once more, as well as Charles S. Dutton, Charles Dance, and Brian Glover. Alien 3 is a dark, grungy, gory end to Ripley's story. In my opinion, this at no point feels like a science fiction film. This feels like a straight up apocalyptic horror film. I mean, just listen to the 20th Century Fox intro. Part of that horror is knowing that, death is coming, but it's also just like, that this series is also coming to an end. The film begins with a fire breaking out on the Sulaco while traveling back to Earth, causing an emergency evac of the crew while in hypersleep. The escape pod lands on a nearby planet, Fury 161. The audience is made to feel like they've just landed in a circle of hell. The occupants of this maximum security prison are either a murderer or just an asshole. There's an infestation of lice, the weather sucks, the food sucks, every battery has long since died, and worst of all, no fucking ice cream. The prisoners of Fury 161 have come to accept that this is the end. This is where they're gonna die. Ripley has once again lost everything. Newt, Hicks, Bishop, all dead. This time it's different though because Ripley is actually present for this gigantic loss. And she's able to feel it as it's happening. She is bearing witness to losing her new life. And she's now forced to once again start over. One of my many questions I had after first viewing this film was, why did you have to kill off everybody? But also it was like, why did you have to kill off everybody in such horrible ways? Newt drowns in her cryotube, and the first shot we see of her is haunting. She appears to have died in a state of complete terror, not truly knowing what was happening to her. Hicks is impaled by a safety support beam, never knowing what happened to him, and Bishop is scattered around the escape shuttle. So what I've come to realize as I have gotten older, Hollywood romanticizes death a lot. But real death is not romantic, it's not demure, and it's not kind. Death is tragic, and sometimes the people that we care about the most die in horrible ways. So now, we the audience are left to wonder, how is Ripley supposed to get over this again in such a depressing place? And we can't even watch a solemn funeral take place because this scene is intercut with scenes of a new xenomorph being born in a really violent, gory scene. So then we see that Ripley has shaved her head and is ignoring basically her quarantine, and she goes to eat with the rest of the prisoners. She is once again starting a new life, but this time it generally feels like she too has accepted that this is where she's going to die, even though we know as the audience that the company is sending a rescue mission for her. One of the biggest mild complaints I hear about this film is the relationship between Ripley and Clemens, which is more or less platonic with a dash of sex thrown in. All I can say is when you're grieving such a huge loss, you feel shitty a lot of the time. And it can be nice to not feel shitty for just a little bit of time and just to feel really anything else apart from even if it's only for a few minutes. For Ripley, it was sex. Sex is what she wanted, and sex is what she got. Upon learning about the Queen Xenomorph that is currently gestating within her, which is kind of like a final kick in the shin from the Queen Xenomorph, if you think about it, Ripley knows now that she is never going to leave Fury 161 alive. She asked to be put out of her misery. She's denied that because the prisoners need her in order to kill this new Xenomorph. But we see Ripley kind of just, once again, really accept her fate this time. She knows she's gonna die. She knows she's gonna die in a horrible way. And she's accepted that if she is going to die, she's going to take down these two Xenomorphs with her. And there's this sense of like real panic gripping you during like the final acts of this film. And that's not because you don't know who's going to be picked off next. It's this panic of like, the company is coming. Ripley is pregnant with a queen, they have a Xenomorph, and they need to kill that Xenomorph and kill Ripley, and they need to get all of this done before the company arrives. They finally destroy this Xenomorph in a very dramatic, explosive scene. And of course the company arrived just in time to stop Ripley in her tracks. She is offered the chance to safely remove the queen from within her. And although she is tempted, Ripley understands that she is literally the only thing standing in the way of the utter destruction of the human race by the Xenomorph species. She takes the last ounce of control that she has left in her life, which is to control when you die. And in an obvious biblical reference to the sacrifice performed by Jesus Christ on the cross, she jumps into Fury's furnace. Midway down, she gives birth and she clasps this child of hers to her chest as they go down. She is symbolizing that, this is it. It's gonna end, and it's gonna end right now. And it does. Now, before any of y'all ask, Alien Resurrection, it's just not a part of this. Like, I just don't think of Alien Resurrection as a part of Ripley's story, because yes, Sigourney Weaver is in this movie and she does play a Ripley character, but it's not the Ripley from Aliens and Alien 3. This is a clone of Ripley. It's Ripley 2.0. It's Ripley with special features and black fingernails. It's just not a part of the story. It's not a part of my analysis because that's not Ripley, and I believe that Aliens, and Alien 3 fit into my analysis because we experience all of these things with Ripley. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed my analysis. If you did, please like and subscribe below, and I would love to hear your ideas, your thoughts, your opinions on this series. Especially Alien 3. There are people who could just go on for days about Alien 3. I'm really hoping to make more videos like this in the future, and I would also like to do some fun videos. But thank you guys so much for watching. Have a happy Pride, have a happy June. I'm so excited for summer. Oh, I need to get some sun. But yeah, I will see you next time. Bye. Of course. Say that word. Course. First things first. By Ridley Scott and Scott. Famous births. Nightmare Sumerian. It's a Nightmare Sumerian? What the f? It's a Nightmare Sumerian. What the f? Bree. Scenario.